Welcome to Dreadful Readings. Grab your blankets, dim the lights, and let's dive into a story that will make you question the shadows. Tonight's story, The House at the End of Pine Hollow. No one on Pine Hollow spoke of the house at the end of the street. Nestled beneath a canopy of withered oaks, its cracked windows and sagging roof loomed like a skeletal sentinel, watching the neighborhood in silence. The locals whispered of strange happenings, a flicker of lights in rooms long abandoned, shadowy figures at the windows, and the faint sound of a child's laughter at the stroke of midnight. But for 20 years, no one dared to enter. That was until Clara moved in. Clara was new to Pine Hollow, fresh from a messy divorce and eager to start over. The house was cheap, too cheap, but the real estate agent assured her the rumors were just small-town superstitions. Clara laughed it off. Ghosts, she thought, didn't pay the bills, and this house fit her budget. The first night was uneventful. Clara unpacked, set up her bed, and fell asleep to the creaks and groans of the old house. But on the second night, she awoke to the sound of footsteps. They were faint, like a child padding barefoot across wooden floors. "Hello?" she called out, her voice trembling. Silence. Clara dismissed it as the house settling. She pulled the covers tighter around her and forced herself to sleep. On the third night, the footsteps returned, closer this time, accompanied by a soft, melodic humming. Clara bolted upright, her heart pounding. She grabbed a flashlight and followed the sound. The beam of light swept across peeling wallpaper and dust-covered furniture as she descended the stairs. The humming grew louder, leading her to the basement door. The door creaked open, revealing a staircase descending into darkness. The air was damp, carrying a metallic tang that made Clara's stomach churn. Against her better judgment, she stepped down. At the bottom, the flashlight flickered, its beam illuminating rows of broken toys scattered across the floor. Dolls missing eyes, teddy bears with torn seams, and a small tricycle coated in rust. Clara's breath hitched as she noticed a faint outline of a door in the far wall. It was carved with strange symbols, the wood warped and splintered as if it had been clawed at. The humming stopped. A chilling voice, small and childlike, whispered behind her, "Do you want to play?" Clara whipped around, but the basement was empty. Her flashlight flickered and died, plunging her into darkness. She stumbled back toward the stairs, but they were gone. The basement had shifted. Walls closed in, the air thickened, and the floor beneath her seemed to pulse like a heartbeat. Then the laughter began. It wasn't the playful giggle of a child, but something twisted, echoing from all directions. Clara screamed, her voice swallowed by the oppressive darkness. Suddenly, the room erupted in light. Clara blinked, disoriented, as she found herself back in the living room. Her belongings were gone, replaced by antique furniture and faded family portraits. The figures in the portraits stared down at her, their painted eyes glinting with malice. The front door creaked open, revealing the street outside. Clara ran, not stopping until she was at her neighbor's house. She banged on the door, her knuckles raw and bleeding. Mrs. Hargrove, the elderly woman next door, opened the door with a look of pity. "You went inside, didn't you?" she asked softly. Clara nodded, sobbing. "You shouldn't have," Mrs. Hargrove said, her voice barely above a whisper. "The house doesn't let you leave." Clara turned, and her heart sank. The house at the end of Pine Hollow was gone, replaced by a vacant lot overgrown with weeds. In its place stood Clara's car, her suitcases stacked neatly beside it. Her neighbor stepped back, shutting the door with a resigned sigh. Clara stared at the empty lot, her reflection flickering in the glass of her car window. Behind her, in the faint outline of the car's back seat, a child's face grinned back at her. The humming returned, and Clara knew she would never escape the house at the end of Pine Hollow.